try to discuss about the report of the 16th Finance Commission. You all know that 16th Finance Commission report was submitted in 2025 itself. It was given approval by the Union Cabinet. When the Union Budget was presented on February 1st, 2026, along with the Union Budget, the report of the 16th Finance Commission was submitted to Parliament. So then it became a public document. It was available to each one of us. So with respect to 16th Finance Commission, I want to discuss today one particular dimension, that is a disaster management. So with respect to disaster management, the grants which are given for disaster management, what are the recommendations of 16th Finance Commission? So 16th Finance Commission recommendations with respect to DM grants, disaster management grants. But before we discuss the report of the 16th Finance Commission, we should have some basic idea about disaster management funds. We all know that in India, a legislation on disaster management was made by the Indian Parliament in 2005. So this legislation has created two kinds of funds at the national level, at the state level, and also at the local level. So at the national level, we have NDRF, NDMF, then similarly at the state level, we have SDRF, SDMF. Similarly at the district level, this is not local, district, DDRF, DDMF. So the Disaster Management Act 2005, it provides for two kinds of funds at the union level, at the state level, and at the district level. At the union level, we have two kinds: NDRF, National Disaster Response Fund; NDMF, National Disaster Mitigation Fund. At the state level, again two funds: State Disaster Response Fund, State Disaster Mitigation Fund. Similarly, at the district level, we have District Disaster Response Fund, District Disaster Mitigation Fund. This is what is laid down in the law. But if you take the period before 2005, I said a law on disaster management was enacted in 2005. But before that, at the state level, we have CRF, Calamity Relief Fund. At the national level, we have NCCF, National Calamity Contingency Fund. But these funds cannot continue after the law has come into force. So, on the recommendations of 13th Finance Commission, CRF at the state level is merged with SDRF, State Disaster Response Fund. Similarly, National Calamity Contingency Fund was merged with NDRF, National Disaster Response Fund. So don't get confused. There were two kinds of funds at the union and at the state level before the law was made in 2005 on disaster management. They are respectively called Calamity Relief Fund at the state level, National Calamity Contingency Fund at the union level. But as I said, the Disaster Management Act 2005 has come up with altogether different kinds of funds at three levels. So that's why these cannot continue. That's why on the recommendations of the 13th Finance Commission, Calamity Relief Fund was merged with the State Disaster Response Fund. National Calamity Contingency Fund was merged with NDRF, National Disaster Response Fund at the national level. Then, though the law has provided for these funds at three levels, only response funds were created. State Disaster Response Fund was created. National Disaster Response Fund was created. But mitigation funds were not created till 2020. Disaster Management Act 2005, it allowed for the establishment of mitigation funds at the union and at the state and at the district level. National Disaster Mitigation Fund, State Disaster Mitigation Fund, District Disaster Mitigation Fund. So between 2005 and 2020, mitigation funds were not created. But on the recommendations of the 15th Finance Commission, the 15th Finance Commission has given two reports, if you remember, the earlier commission. Interim report for the financial year 2020-21 and a final report for 2021-22 to 2025-26. So in this report, 15th Finance Commission said the union government should constitute National Disaster Mitigation Fund at the union level along with the existing National Disaster Response Fund. Similarly, all the states must constitute mitigation funds at the state level called State Disaster Mitigation Fund. And this recommendation was accepted, and subsequently after 2021-22 we had mitigation funds at the union level and also at the state level. So this is the background. Now if you see the recommendations, see the funds at the district level, they are not yet created. The 15th Finance Commission was of the opinion that it is not necessary to have funds at the district level, though the law says that they should be created. In the opinion of the 15th Finance Commission, it was not necessary at the district level. So now at the union level we have two kinds of funds: National Disaster Response Fund, National Disaster Mitigation Fund. And at the state level we have SDRF, State Disaster Response Fund, State Disaster Mitigation Fund. Then what are the recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission? Take SDRF, State Disaster Response Fund. This is the fund at the state level for response. So initially if you take 13th Finance Commission, 13th, 15th, 16th, these finance commissions, they have said if it is a general category state, the contribution to SDRF will be 75:25. So if there is 100 rupees in the SDRF, states will contribute 25%, center will contribute 75%. This is for general category states. If it is a special northeast and the Himalayan states, it is 90:10. In the northeastern states, which are 7 in number, and in Himalayan states, Sikkim, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, in these states, the states will contribute 10%, center will contribute 90%. These are the recommendations, 13th, 15th and 16th also. But if you take the 14th Finance Commission, it recommended 90:10 for all the states. When it comes to SDRF, for all the states, 10% have to contribute, 10% has to be contributed by state. In every state, if there is SDRF, 10% of the funds by state, 90% by the center. But this was not implemented. This recommendation was not implemented. Now let's move to the recommendations of 16th Finance Commission. So 16th Finance Commission has recommended that at the state level, roughly 2,04,000 crores, 2,04,000 crores is the total amount which was recommended for SDRF, SDMF together. This is for 5 years, which means 2026-27 to 2030-31. For the 5-year period, the total grant recommended for both SDRF and SDMF is 2,04,000. And in this is out of this 80% will be SDRF, 20% will be SDMF. Similarly, even at the union level, I said there is a fund for mitigation, there is also fund for response. I said NDRF, NDMF. For this, the total grant recommended will be 76,000 crores for a 5-year period. Even this money will be distributed in the ratio of 80:20. 80:20. So this is one important recommendation. In addition to this, heat waves and lightning, heat wave and lightning was recommended to be introduced in the national list of disasters which are notified by the union government. So it recommended adding 2 more disasters to the list of disasters notified at the union level: heat wave and lightning. So these are the major recommendations of 16th Finance Commission with respect to DM grants, disaster management grants. And finally, And what is the basis for allocating money to the states? So it was based on the past expenditure which is incurred on disasters. So in the last several years, what is the amount spent on disasters? That's one criteria. The second one is there is an index, disaster risk index. So this forms the basis. These two, they form the basis for allocating funds among the 28 states. So that's it about the recommendations of the 16th Finance Commission with respect to DM grants. Hope that you have understood the topic. We will come up with yet another video on other aspects of the 16th Finance Commission report. So we are done with the DM grants. Maybe in the next video we will take up local body grants and other areas. So that's it about this particular topic. Thank you and all the best.